Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to break down two incredibly important but honestly kind of sneaky accounting concepts: invoice price and loading. If you've ever stared at a business textbook and felt completely lost in all the jargon, don't worry, we've all been there. We're going to demystify all of it today using a simple, real-world analogy that absolutely anyone can understand. By the time we finish up, you won't just be memorizing definitions, you're going to understand exactly why businesses actually use these strategies out in the real world. So, let's dive right into this with a scenario. Imagine you're an artist. You make these amazing custom sneakers, right? And it costs you exactly $20 in materials and labor to make one pair. But you want to expand your side hustle. So you ask a friend over at another school to act as a middleman, or in accounting terms, a consignee, to sell them for you. Now, here's the big question. If you tell your friend that your actual cost is only $20 and they go and flip them for $100, won't they suddenly want a much bigger cut of the action? I mean, they're going to see that massive $80 profit margin and almost certainly demand a higher commission.
And that brings us to Section 1, Meet the Invoice Price.
To solve this exact middleman dilemma, accounting gives us a brilliant strategy. Instead of revealing your true $20 cost, you send the goods to your friend at what's called an invoice price. Basically, this is an inflated price that represents your actual cost price plus a certain amount of profit. So you might send those sneakers to your friend and say, hey, these are valued at $50. That $50 is the invoice price. It has your profit already baked right into it before your friend even makes a single sale.
And this sets up a real tale of two numbers. The cost price, that $20 it takes to make the shoes, well, that remains your closely guarded secret. You're the consignor, the owner of the goods, and literally only you know this number. On the flip side, the invoice price, that $50 mark, acts as the public sticker price that your friend, the middleman, actually sees and bases all their math on.
Which leads us directly into Section 2, Why Hide the Cost?
Here's exactly what can go horribly wrong in the real world if you don't do this. Step 1. Your friend learns the sneakers only cost $20. Step 2. They realize they can easily sell them for $100. So instead of selling them on your behalf for a tiny commission, they just buy your entire inventory themselves at that super low $20 price. Step 3. They turn around, resell them in the open market, and pocket that massive $80 difference all for themselves. You know, you've done all the hard work, but they get the reward. No way we want that to happen. So inflating the price serves a few highly practical purposes. Number 1, it controls commission demands. Since your friend can't assess the true profit, they're way less likely to demand a higher cut. Number 2, it prevents those dishonest practices we literally just looked at, stopping your friend from buying low just to resell. And number 3, it sets a price floor. By invoicing the sneakers at $50, you're subtly telling your friend, hey, this is the absolute minimum price at which you are expected to sell these to customers.
All right, let's get into Section 3, Unpacking the Loading.
In accounting terms, that hidden markup we've been talking about is called loading. Loading is simply the amount of profit you deliberately add to the cost of the goods to arrive at the invoice price. In our sneaker analogy, the loading is exactly $30. It is literally just the difference between your $50 invoice price and your $20 cost price. You have, quite literally, loaded the price with your anticipated profit.
Think of it visually, kind of like this bar chart. If the first, shortest bar is your low $20 cost price, and the second, tallest bar is the $50 invoice price, the loading is represented by that third bar. It's the literal physical gap of profit you've secretly just stacked on top. It basically bridges the distance between what you paid and what the middleman thinks the base value is.
But there's a catch when it comes time to do the final bookkeeping. When you do your accounting, you can't just leave that imaginary profit hanging around in your books. To figure out the true profit of the entire consignment operation, this loading must be adjusted, or, as accountants like to say, neutralized, in your consignment account. You basically have to bring the invoice price back down to the true cost level on your own private books, just so you can figure out how much actual cash you made at the end of the day.
Okay, let's look at how to actually calculate this in Section 4, Doing the Math.
The fundamental math here is honestly as simple as it gets. Loading simply equals the invoice price, let's call it IP for short, minus the cost price, or CP. Again, going back to our sneakers, a $50 IP minus a $20 CP equals a loading of $30. Really, if you can do basic subtraction, you can absolutely master this accounting concept.
Now, what if your business is booming? Let's say your friend is selling 50 pairs of custom sneakers instead of just one. Well, you simply scale the formula. You calculate total loading by taking the number of units and multiplying it by the loading per unit, which, as we just learned, is the invoice price per unit minus the cost price per unit.
So 50 pairs multiplied by our $30 loading gives us a total loading of $1,500 across the whole inventory.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is to remember this primary equation. Invoice price equals cost price plus profit. Sometimes your textbook or even a real-world scenario won't give you the exact dollar amounts right away. You might only be given the cost and say a specific percentage of profit to add on. By just remembering that IP equals CP plus profit, you can easily plug the given values into the equation to calculate the loading, no matter how they try to frame the problem.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. We've looked at this entirely from the perspective of the creator, right? The consignor who's trying to protect their margins. But let's flip the script for a second. If you were the middleman, the consignee, trying to decode the sticker price you were just handed, how would you go about uncovering the secret loading? What clues might actually give away the true cost price? Think about that as you review your notes. Thanks for joining me to demystify these concepts today, and keep exploring.